This is a snap-on verus, and basically what I'm going to do is have a look to see how long it takes for the verus to fire up. Roughly timed it, it's about 4 minutes for it to time up on a standard hard drive. What I'm going to look at doing here is replacing the hard drive with an SSD drive. I have taken some stuff off from britec 09 and changing the hard drive to an SSD, but I have experienced a few problems with the software that I'm using. And basically what it is, there's programs running in the background, and to get them to shut down, the only way I'm going to be able to do this is to use a keyboard and a mouse. That I will show how I'm going to go about changing this over onto the SSD. I just want to speed the process up a bit. It can be frustrating. I use the verus as a oscilloscope, and waiting on it firing up each time, it just takes too long to fire up. Just trying to cut down the time of that initial startup, but the verus itself works fine. There's a few things that I've seen from other people doing it, and what they're doing is stopping the disk fragmenter working. That is just a simple procedure, turning that off, and remember not to using that with the SSD. The SSD I have put in one of my own computers, a laptop, and I have found it's just instantaneous, and that's why I want to convert the verus onto the SSD. As you can see, it takes time for it to power up before it's ready and before all the programs are loaded onto it. What I've done now is I've attached just basically a keyboard, and I've also disconnected the Wi-Fi system on the computer. The reason why I've done that is because I don't want this searching for Wi-Fi updates. It stops the transfer of data from the hard drive to the new SSD drive. So now what I'm going to do is just go on with Control Alternate and Delete. And that tells me what programs are running at the minute, and what I'm going to do is just end a task for that, and that will shut that down. I could have just done it through there, but I always like to make sure that everything is shut down, and the only thing that is running at the minute is the diagnostic suite. So that's now closed. I can remove the keyboard, and I'm going to plug in the new SSD that I'm going to use. The SSD that I'm going to use is a SanDisk, not an expensive disk, and it is 240 gigabyte, so it should be enough to transfer the data from this over from the verus software over onto it. That's it plugged in. I have downloaded mini tool partition wizzard. I seen this on another video from britec 09, and basically what it is it looks to be the simplest way to transfer data. I have done it with my laptop, and I found that the laptop has worked okay. I have an SSD in my laptop, and it's worked perfectly following the directions from britec 09. The first time I tried to carry out the SSD transfer on this verus, I couldn't get the transfer to carry out. This is a repeated attempt, so hopefully this time it should be okay. The main reason why I am moving the data is because of the length of the time it takes for the verus to actually initialize the software suite, because it is so big. Now I'm going to click on Partition Wizard, and it takes a wee minute just to open up. There we go. And I'm going to be cloning. Right. And next. Now, choose a disk that you would like to copy. And I want to copy disk 1, which is the main hard drive of this. And where I want to do is then select the target disk. The target disk is disk 2, and as you can see it's blank, it's emptied as it's a new disk. Again, click next, and it's now asking me on this page changes have been made. Basically again it's just a click onto the next screen. Unfortunately with the verus the screen's pretty small, and there it says to boot from the new disk. It's just saying to you, you may have to adjust your BIOS. I don't believe that would be the case, because this is going to be cloning the disk, which means it's going to be naming the disk exactly the same as the hard drive that is originally in the verus. So hopefully that will not be the case. Click finish, and now I'm going to click apply. And it's telling me to close all applications. I have done that. That's why I used the Control Alternate and Delete on the keypad, and I also disconnected the Wi-Fi to make sure that it does not pick anything up from the Wi-Fi. And it's actually asking me to retry, so I'll retry. Right. Right, it's saying that it will, it's either to retry, and I've tried that a couple of times and I won't do it, so now it's saying to close, restart your computer, and Mini-Tool partition will automatically reset, finish the rest of pending jobs, so I'm going to go with that. Trying to get a bit of speed to use the verus is important, because when you do break the tool out and you're trying to do a job quickly, there's nothing more frustrating than waiting 4 minutes on the verus firing up because of the hard drive. Unfortunately, it's because of the size of the program that's in the verus. It is a good tool, and it's just to improve the tool by using an SSD in it. So hopefully I can get this done and speed up the verus. I do like the tool. I have to say the oscilloscope side of it and some of the functions with the test procedures and stuff, they are pretty good. And now it's starting to load up. And I imagine this is going to take a wee minute or two for this to do the copying. I haven't done it this way before, so I just hope everything's going to be okay. So it's a fingers crossed job, but I'm just relying on the software being good in the partition wizard, and that it is going to leave it right for me. What I've had to do is disconnect the SSD from the computer, because it's cloned now. It is trying to start on both drives and it was confusing it there. so that's why I've disconnected it, and it's starting to load properly. Bit of a learning curve with it, but I think like anything, you have to go with it. Just waiting on the suite booting up now. I'll just go into it again, just make sure it works. It loves to take its time booting up because of the size of the programs on it, but I do like the verus. I like the oscilloscope with it. I also use an MT2400 with the diagnostics as well, and I find it, because it's only a single scope, single scope, very basic tool, but it's handy to get in and out very quickly, to quickly check CAN wires and LIN wires. I do a lot of work with Mercedes, and Mercedes have a lot of LIN wires. I've also used the verus on some FlexRay with it as well, but it's getting the FlexRay to slow down enough just to double check the signals are matching. And that's us up again now. That's us. Just make sure I can get in here okay. Get it. Component tests. Well, that seems to be okay. That seems to be us back in again. There we go. Use your CAN bus test, which is the same for basically most cars anyway. Now what I'm going to do is just shut this down and change over the hard drive to the SSD. That'll be the next stage. Now I'm going to strip the verus. First thing I'm going to do is remove the scope meter. And the scope meter is accessed. There's a small tab. That's it here. You just pull straight up on it. That's it out. The battery. There's two screws. Again, loosen the screws, pull them out. And that should just come out. You'll have to excuse me, I have no screwdrivers home with me, and I'm just using a knife. Now, I've also loosened a screw here, here, taking this one out here, and here. Also here, here, and there is one here. And one here. Now, when separating the verus, there is two loads of wiring that you do need to be careful with. That's the one thing I didn't want to happen. works as I've only had the two drop out, hopefully. Now, just making sure these are all out before trying to pry it off again. Just showing a bit of patience to actually separate the back from the front of the verus. Now what I'm going to do is to separate. You can see just down in here, you can see this wiring plug here. I'm just going to pull it out very gently. That's one. Then I'm going to tip it up the way, and I'm going to remove wiring plug here, and that is the back separated from the front. I haven't pulled heavy at anything, and I've been taking my time to try and strip this very gently, because it is, after all, everything's plastic. Now, I did turn the verus upside down to remove all the screws, and I have them all here. I would suggest you do that before you start to separate it. It's a wee mistake I did make with it. Now, the hard drive is held in, and a few screws. Be actually handier with a magnetic screwdriver, but I don't have one handy, so it's a make do. Now, I did remove the ribbon from the hard drive, so we can access the last screw for the hard drive. And that is the hard drive cover removed, and that is the hard drive. So now what I need to do is to place the new SSD in this cover, and all I've done is, just as you can see, it's just done it that way. So it's back in the same way, and now is to place this back in the holder. That's it, back in the holder firmly. I will screw that back in again first, then refit the ribbon. Screws are very fiddly. That's the one thing that I find, and when you have big sausage fingers, it doesn't really help. And probably a little magnetic screwdriver would help, but I don't think you're supposed to use anything magnetic around electronics. So I'm just being patient and doing it without a magnetic screwdriver. screw number 3. I've watched different people do this, and to be honest with you, I find that britec's way seems to be the simplest. He seems to have got it where he's trying to help people that want it done simply, rather than doing it long way about doing it. There is other programs you can use to do it, but I'll be honest with you, I find that britec's way is probably the simplest. Next thing is just to refit the that's the ribbon refitted in the hard drive. Now it's a case of putting the cover back on again. And what I'm going to do is connect it from the top first and then do from the bottom. So as I feel there's a wee bit more length in the lead from the top. Right, and that's, sorry, that might let you see a bit better. It is quite fiddly, and that's why I wanted to do the top one first. Right, that's that one in. Now I'm going to flip it round and do the base one. And there is the base one. Again, big sausage fingers does not help you doing a job like this, but patience is. Oops. Not exactly mastering this. And that's it now. So connectors top and bottom, they're connected. As you can see, they're back in again. So that is it. Now, I'm left-handed, and I actually changed the position of this over on the left-hand side because it suits me better having it from the left-hand side. It was on the right-hand side. The only other thing you're having to do here is just to line things up very, very slowly. As you can see, it's trying to get it so it's all fitted together first before any screws go in. Hopefully that is it. I'm going to stick a couple of screws in now, and hopefully that will tighten up okay. General rule is to stick a couple in and put them in slowly and see how the cover comes down. First of all, screws are very, very fiddly. But manageable. It does remember not to over tighten these screws. They are in plastic, so they're not designed to be tightened too tight. I just give them a wee, that does me. The plastic will hold them, they won't come loose with that. I just want to, once I put these four in, I want to check the cover to make sure it's all seated the whole way around before I put the rest of them in. Right. From what I can see, the cover is pretty good. So then I end up putting the rest of the screws out. Then it'll be time to try it and boot it up. That's all my screws back into the all around the edges of it, and the cover's all fitting pretty nice and neat. So now what I'm going to do is put the scope back on, and you can hear it click back in. And next thing is the battery. The battery is lift up like that and then just drop down. Again, you'll have to excuse me, I have no screwdriver handy, so I'm using a bread knife. So, try it, let's see if it fires. Now what I'm going to do is power the verus up and just see how many seconds it takes to, many minutes and seconds it takes to load the verus suite up, as it's quite a big program. It does take a bit of time on a normal hard drive, so 30 seconds went past so far. It's coming up to a minute. Roughly about 1 minute 20 seconds. That's pretty good compared to the time it used to take me to get this to load before. I have checked this to see if it does open on different things, and it does okay. There's no problem about that. I'm just doing this just to see how quickly it is responding. There we go. That's okay. It seems to be a bit quicker on loading up, which is the main thing. I'd still say it'll have time to try and access some of the programs, because this whole suite is a very, very big program. I'm still learning different things with it, but one of the biggest things that I like about it is on component tests. Or no, is it not? It's something that I'll go into in another video, but there is a training program on it, and it is pretty good. The snap-on, I would use this more for the oscilloscope than I would use it for the diagnostic side of it, but the diagnostic side of it is okay, but hopefully with the new SSD it can be a bit quicker. I have found it to be a bit slow on different things, but again, for the amount of stuff that's on it, it cannot be anything else because there's so much software on the program. I do like the tool, and hopefully I'll get into a bit with the MT2400. It is one of my favourite tools. I do like using it. It is a very quick in and out, and it's the one that Paul Danner uses on Scanner Danner, and he is right. It's practical, it's easy to use, and it's very quick in and out tool. It doesn't have any OBD on it or anything like that, but it is a multimeter, and it is an oscilloscope as well, a mini oscilloscope. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helps you.